BBC licence fee, I'm sorry, I've obviously arrived here tonight with an agenda. I haven't at all. But the licence fee, here's a generally balanced view, which is that we all work in the commercial sector, so I suppose you'd say this. If I have a television, I'm supposed to pay £170, and potentially it could go up by 9%, I don't know. Even if I don't want to watch the tripe that's on the BBC. I think it's disgusting, and I think we will get to a point in terms of media across the UK where people will go, there'll be a screen and you buy and you pick and that's the way it is. I think it's out of date. I really do.
I think that there is an argument for some of the news gathering stuff, which actually is fantastic, and it's not just to do.
Fantastic
well, this is the problem. This is the problem. It's not just to do with domestic consumption. Actually, broadly, internationally speaking, the BBC is a fantastic tool of soft power because in many parts of the world where everything is just propaganda, it's state propaganda, the BBC offers a lifeline to a lot of people who actually do get their serious unbiased. They don't get it from US television, they get it from the BBC. And this is one of the things that really irritates me about the licence fee is when we talk about cutting it, they don't cut the rubbish that none of us actually want to watch and don't want to pay for. They cut the foreign languages services, they cut the news stuff first. And it is the nonsense that if it was actually any good, you know, the entertainment, if it was any good, they would say, yes, commercialise it, let it compete with Netflix. It's never that stuff.
Is it out of date, though, the BBC, Bex? I mean, is it time? I mean, I'm sure there are good parts of it, I'll give you that, but it's become this organisation that is looked upon as this huge sort of left-wing, money-consumed operation that isn't giving... actually, let's get away from the politics. Value for money. And in fact, you're having to pay for something that you might not even want. That doesn't seem fair.
Well, I think absolutely, like, the pressure is on the BBC. I mean, we saw the big changes they've made to Newsnight. We've seen what they're doing with the 1 o'clock news. Like, they are trying to kind of compete and to meet audience needs. So I think they are slowly getting there. I appreciate it does feel like a very unwieldy beast, especially when you're someone that tries to make money out of news and then you look kind of very enviously over at our colleagues at the BBC who are kind of, you know, not under any of the kind of market pressures that the rest of us are. But, you know, we've just spoken about the importance of kind of, you know, education, people having access to unbiased, fair news with the Hamas Gen Z stuff. So, you know, degrading and eroding into our kind of national broadcaster, who, by and large, do a very good job and have had a tough time during this conflict in the Middle East. I think, you know, I don't think it's...
A tough time? Because they wouldn't call the Hamas terrorists.
But is it their job to prescribe who is and isn't a terrorist organisation? Like,
I did think that was a very low moment where actually it was low-hanging fruit that they could have... Everybody accepts that Hamas is a terrorist organisation, unless you're under the age of 30, apparently. And they didn't say it. They say some people say it was just a very easy moment.
I got the distinct impression that that's an example of the BBC, a bit like we intimated that Gen Z will follow each other sheep-like.
Yeah.
The BBC, to me, has got to a point where it seems to want to do the right thing rather than actually follow its gut. Do you know what I mean by that?
I think I do. I think it's a little... I do think
Tick
it's very...
a box.
Yes, I think that there's a lot of that goes on. And I think that's because there are great swathes of the BBC that is out of touch with the rest of the country.
And can I just say, Holly, who's producing the show tonight, the editor, who's in a new relationship, not that we'll talk about that, that's what, in my ear, she just said that's why I left the BBC. I think that's a very relevant point. This has caused consternation today